The review of the papers this morning in the hands of Tanya Breyer and Johnny Gould.
Good morning. Good morning.
Very good. Jackie, I want to start with this story that we were talking about earlier with the whether the Premiership should sing the French national anthem at the weekend. And the reason we're going to talk about this, there are a number of sides to this. The Republic of Ireland's game a couple of nights ago against Bosnia-Herzegovina, somebody held up a very inappropriate banner to that, and you've also, Tanya, got a story here about Turkey and a football jeer. Tell us about that first of all.
Well, it was Turkey against Greece, Eamon, and they had a minute's silence, of course, for the horrific attacks that happened in Paris, and during that minute's silence there were jeers coming from the crowd. And, of course, you can't be sure what they were jeering about, but Turkey being on the front line, it was people obviously not supporting.
What they were jeering about, I think, was that there wasn't a minute's silence for the Ankara bombings. That's what I think they were jeering about.
Now, that brings me to Jackie's story.
Yes.
So tell us about this, Jackie.
So there were apparently meetings last night whether the Marseillaise should be played at the weekend before all the Premier League games. And in fact, there's also going to be a minute's silence before the El Clasico in Madrid-Barcelona at the weekend as well, to remember the Paris attacks also. But should the Marseillaise, the French national anthem, be played so that the English Premier League supporters can presumably sing it and show solidarity and show that they feel the pain of Paris and that, it hasn't been brushed aside as quickly as all that? Or should it not, because it's, as Eamon was suggesting, is a slightly political thing to do? Is it a nice thing to do, or should really football stay away from that?
Let me just bring in now here's Linda on Twitter, and Linda's saying, I absolutely agree about comments we made earlier. There should be respect at the international game, because it was an international game involved, and England, France, all that sort of thing.
And involved France.
So exactly, the French team were playing. Why wouldn't you?
But let's leave the clubs. There is no need for it.
English football is a blessing around the world, and the reason it is a blessing around the world is because our football clubs were set up in the 19th century around churches and other social clubs. Whereas if you go to Spain, or if you go to Israel or Greece or other areas of the world, their football clubs were unions or army teams or political persuasions, and so that they are, in political times, a form of tension between football clubs when they meet. They're derbies which are on a completely different sectarian level, whereas, Everton was St Domingo's church team, Aston Villa was the Wesleyan church. We are blessed with the idea of our football clubs being completely apolitical. So to sort of put a political element, as Eamon said before, on top of it, is risking something that we don't have in English football.
Or a lot of French players playing the Premier League is another argument of people suggesting it.
What has it got to do with football? My point I was making earlier is, every week I go to football, I have to stand and feel bad because the players are wearing black armbands. Everybody's made to go to the centre circle and bow their head. The novelty effect begins to wear off, and I'm suspecting this. I'm suspecting, as a brand, the Premier League wants to show that very rich footballers care, that football has a heart somewhere. And that's my cynical side coming out.
But Eamon, the other side, your positive side, could argue that, or might argue, the fact that it's a place of sport, it's a place where cultures come together, and surely that is an arena to show the positivity.
What, week in, week out, all the time?
Maybe
Let me
not
tell you something else. This sounds simple,
out,
right? This sounds simple. Sing the French national anthem. That means something different at Manchester United. No one's going to stand and sing the French national anthem without including the words of Eric Cantona.
I thought those were the lyrics before Tuesday.
But you see, it means different things for different clubs.
Of course, but also you get football stadiums where they have terrible racial abuse, and people choose to make it political or choose to air their views there. So surely it's the place to stand unified. I'm not saying at all club levels, but I have to say...
Well, you could be arguing you're making football a target with this. I mean, the defiance
It already is a target.
It is,
let's be
because
honest.
look what
it already is a target. And I think also, I mean, a lot of people think, it has a lot of influence. It's very high profile. It's the most high profile sport in the whole world. And this is possibly possibly the most high-profile league in the whole world.
Yes.
So why would you not sort of do it?
Well,
and say,
my view is
it's
been done at international level. When it comes to club responsibility, just let me enjoy my match. That's what.
Or
that's
even
all
when
I'm
it comes
saying.
to the clubs, surely it's down to the choice of the individual clubs. That could be another way.
Well, do you have a choice if the Premiership are cracking the whip
Yes,
on this?
it is like, it's like inflationary, because we've had all this barrier set high that football represents something and that we should all do
Well, it does.
Now it gets to the point of La Marseillaise.
Okay.
5 to 10 years ago, that may not have happened. I remember directly after the 9/11 attacks, there was 2 minutes silence before the Everton-Liverpool game, impeccably observed, and everyone was asked to just calm down. It's only a game of football. It's not the Merseyside derby as normal.
But it represents...
And now we're getting to this point 10 years later where
it
we have
represents
to...
more than that.
Well, it does.
I've got a feeling it won't happen, actually.
Yes.
But let's see.
Yeah,
Something
okay.
will happen.
Listen, really appreciate what you've got to say on this. We're just stirring up the debate. Particularly if you're a football fan, you have to go along to this. Of course, the England-France game on ITV on Tuesday night got a massive audience, and it wouldn't normally. I mean, for a friendly game.
I think
like
people
that.
wanted to see the reaction of the
Yeah.
French
They
players
did.
and also the
I have
England
to
players.
say, Jackie, I don't know how you feel, but I thought they handled it beautifully. I really thought that
Yeah,
they
but it's
did.
done.
It was
It's
very
done.
emotional, and it done.
16 and 17-year-olds could be allowed to take part in the referendum on Britain's membership of the EU, but this is because the House of Lords have voted in favour of
Yes,
of
they
this.
have,
So what do you
absolutely.
think about this? Okay, you can't gamble, you can't get married,
But you
can't
can
whatever,
vote.
but you can vote
Yes.
whether you should stay in or out of Europe.
think
Who's pushing for this?
Well, the House of Lords is pushing that because I think they think that 16 and 17-year-olds will be mostly pro-Europe. And, of course, yes, you can't drive, you can't drink at that age, but you might be able to vote on an extremely important issue there. But it is interesting because it's also the argument for is engaging the youngsters in the political arena and engaging them in their future. And they have a right to know about their future, so why not start engaging
Because
them
they don't
that
know what
young?
they're voting on, that's why. I mean, I've
you have to educate
Well,
them.
I'm sorry, I've got a 17-year-old who did a politics AS level, so she would know a little bit about it.
Yes.
But if I was entrusting her with a vote on Europe...
Yeah,
I mean,
but Jackie, then they
clueless.
should be educated into voting. They should
The
actually
last-
been told.
well, the last
They
time-
should
Well, that's a
be.
whole other story.
If they, well, no, but they should be. If they're going to allow
Yes.
16 and 17-year-olds,
Yes.
if they really want them to vote on this, they're going to have to educate them on everything.
And this is a binding referendum for a generation, maybe even two. The last time that we had a say in the European Economic Community was on the 5th of June, 1975. Anyone born on that day, aged 16, is, 46 years old now, if my math serves me correctly. Okay. So I think it is quite relevant for 16 and 17 years old if they are engaged in politics and know, what they're voting for.
If they know. But I don't think adults know whether it's right or wrong to stay or
I
go.
think that is a very good point, Tanya.
Thank you, Eamon, for agreeing with me.
I don't think adults necessarily know any more than 16-years-olds
No,
myself
that's the point.
on
I'll
this
give it to
one.
them then.
Tanya and Johnny are going through the newspapers this morning, and a wee bit of politics here, and this is about Ken Livingstone. Ken Livingstone, former Mayor of London. Why is he in trouble?
Jeremy Corbyn appointed Ken Livingstone to become co-chair of Labour's review on policy of nuclear weapons. He is an avowed unilateralist, a little bit like Jeremy Corbyn. That annoyed Maria Eagle, who's supposed to be the Shadow Defence Secretary, immediately. And then later on in the day, he insulted a Labour MP, Kevin Jones, who just happened to take a different view to him. I actually criticised him as someone who shouldn't take the job. It wasn't a personal attack, it was really an attack on him being a unilateralist. I presume Kevin Jones isn't. And Livingstone rapped back at him that he should pop off and see his GP because he was depressed and disturbed, which, apart from anything, is a terrible thing to say. But when you reveal that Kevin Jones talked very bravely in the chamber about his own battle with depression, it's appalling. And he explained, I'm from South London, that's what we do down there. Well, we don't want your saloon bar talk from the 1960s. Some of us are a little bit more sophisticated. Go back to South London if that's how you behave.
Well, he said,
and he wouldn't apologise.
But he did.
No,
He
but
said,
it took him ages and ages. No, I won't apologise, he said, because he should apologise to me. And then...
Johnny's not a Livingstone
I'm
fan.
really
No,
fed up with
he's
him.
not.
I mean, it just...
I think you can tell. I think you can tell. It's all right, Johnny. It's all right. You don't. You're not going to support Livingstone.
Anyway,
It's okay.
let's talk.
It's all
How
right.
often, Johnny, do you make love during the week? Because
Jackie, I think, what time is it? Should we just go? Should we let Eamon and Joyce
It's only
decide?
a rhetorical question because
I'm glad.
No, actually, I picked this.
the happiest lovers, and Tanya's always happy, have sex once a week. Is that all?
I'm a
fault for bringing this
thorn
up.
between two roses. What can I say? Look, I promise you, I've picked it out, Eamon, because it is in every single newspaper. And the pressure on couples to have sexual congress is the elegant
put.
way.
That's why you are a couple.
Johnny and I.
No, that's fine. If you're a couple, surely that's what
No, but
goes with being a couple.
Well, it does, Eamon. That's right. Thank you for giving me the birds and the bees lecture. But what they're saying is that the couples have the pressure that they're constantly having to engage in sexual congress.
once a
But
week?
actually, once a week is fine. They've come up a new survey, very important
And Tanya,
survey.
could I just ask you, do you think that's fine?
You're putting me right on the spot here, Eamon.
You don't have to answer it, Tanya.
Thank you, Jackie. I agree with the survey not to
You
put too
agree
much
with the survey?
pressure on couples.
Jackie, do you think that's fine?
Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
It's funny how men would never think that's fine. I think it's a very low number there, Johnny. And
But actually,
52
Eamon-
times a year, you know.
You know what was so interesting? In the
what most
makeup room,
people-
we were discussing this before in the makeup room, and one of the ladies was saying, once a week, oh, God, I'll tell my husband just to go travelling. And the other one was saying, once a week, is that all?